I'm going to try and paint a very, not even simple, simplistic picture of what is political communication and public communication, so that we can then together begin to explore. I'm not going to talk a lot, 3 minutes, to tell you about what as a professional for 30 years in this sphere, what I see as the relationship that works in practice. So if we do it schematically and see, for instance, public communication is more to do with giving information that is important, that impacts on people's daily lives. That is the important thing about it. And political communication, on the other hand, has the purpose, well, to put it extremely crudely, of using the media to influence political decisions and get people's vote, most importantly. Then we see that, yes, in theory, it's a little bit like primary school mathematics, that you have two circles intersecting, and there is an area that is outside, separate, and there is an area that is common. Now, this area in the real world, a lot of it, most of it now is common, but there is still in our heads, at least, this difference. The center of gravity for public communication is more to inform the people about things that the people really care about and want to be told about. If there's a crisis, if you need to explain legislation, if you need to a public campaign like for health or anything like that, that is something in people's real interests, and people recognize that. Of course, it is a fact of life that we political public communicators live in the real world. We have political masters, and we need to cater to their legitimate needs within reason. If we don't cater to their legitimate communication needs, we become irrelevant, because, as I said, the world now, and Caroline said it as well, you can't really separate it so much. Almost everything is political, and almost everything is communication. So we need to cater to their legitimate communication needs and not be bypassed and become irrelevant. But in exercising this function, we have to be aware that we need to strike the right balance, and we are also, in doing that, providing a public service. So let's look a little bit at the relationship of the politician and the public communicator. What is it that we can do for them? Why do they need us? Well, if public communication has beneficial effects for the public, then of course the current administration is the one that reaps the benefits. It's not something disembodied. You have this government in place, and they're the ones that get the kudos. We are faceless. Public servants mostly are more credible, or at least people are less suspicious of them than they are of governments, and so more trusted, and any communication emanating from them is more likely to be taken at face value. Politicians are not always, sometimes they are, but they're not always communication experts, so we are in a position to offer better know-how in some cases, and it's often a very good tactics for politicians to leave, even if they are good communicators themselves, it's very good to leave the space a little bit. If it's technical, if it's difficult, if it's politically fraught with danger, it's much better to allow the professional communicators to deal with it. And then they can step in at the right moment and reap the benefits. They don't have to be in the fray of it. So a good working relationship between public communicators and politicians has the best chance of working for the benefit of the public. This, in turn, is important for us both, for politicians and public communicators, because it's the public that gives us our legitimization and the goodwill of society that allows us to function effectively, especially in specifically difficult times like the ones we are going through now. So what should this relationship between public communicators and politicians look like for it to be effective and productive? Well, from my experience for about 30 years now, it requires a lot of mutual respect and trust and goodwill, but to some extent, even a little bit artificial, because we know, and Caroline said it very clearly, and we know it from life as well, boundaries it's not so easy to maintain these boundaries, but you have to have a general idea that both ends of the spectrum, the public information campaign and the political campaign, they take into account the priorities of each other, not that the politics doesn't always win. So we need to understand that the two functions are to some extent different, and that the whole picture needs both. The public benefits best if we do both together. It requires a genuine wish from both parties to achieve a synthesis between the public communication goals and the political communication goals for the benefit of the public. And the political neutrality, to the extent that it exists, because it's easier said than done. It's not very easy to be politically neutral, if you take politically neutral in the broad sense. But the political neutrality in the sense of not becoming completely identified with a particular government and its policies, protects both the politicians and the public communicators, and it works for the public benefit. If public communicators remain politically neutral, they can provide, apart from their know-how, the credibility necessary to legitimize a multitude of political decisions. Equally, politicians can benefit from this by creating. They can benefit the world of public communicators. So this is we give them this credibility, we give them this know-how. In turn, what they give us is the possibility to have, through legislation or through political means, to create the best possible conditions for the exercise of the function of the public communicator. Both parties need to understand that although their work and priorities are not always the same, there are differences in them, we can help each other. And actually, we need each other's support to be successful in our own work. The most difficult thing, to my experience, the most difficult thing to achieve with every new government that comes into power is to make our political masters understand that if we are completely identified with them, we cannot help them. This is the one thing. And the other thing that they find very difficult to understand, and they have to understand if we are both going to succeed in our work, is that we can no longer control the message. In this world that we are living now, after the age of the age of Gutenberg, the world of social media and multiple information platforms, you can send your message out. You cannot control it. If it is an utopia to think that you can control. So the sooner politicians accept that the message cannot be controlled and allow us to help them keep adjusting the message and listening and reacting to what comes back from the people and trying to serve the public genuinely, they cannot succeed in their work. That's it.